All right, so welcome everybody. Hope you had a great weekend and got opportunity to. All right, just muting. Okay, and I'm not sure how many of you got an opportunity to soak in the bliss of the retreat that we just completed. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience, very blissful, and I'm sure a lot of participants would be having a similar hangover as well. So welcome back. A very warm welcome to all of you. Glad to be back again and resuming these sessions. Today we are going to talk about Radhashtami. We celebrated that with great celebration here at Radha Krishna Temple, and I thought it's appropriate to devote at least a couple of sessions for Radhashtami as well. Revisit the concept around who is Radha Rani. We need to tackle this question because it's a very important concept in context of our scriptures, and to have a broader understanding around the Shaktiman aspect. Right? In the path of bhakti, it's very important to get that concept squared away in our head so that we know what we are doing. So welcome again, everybody. Let me share my screen. Like always, we get started with our opening prayers, and then we will get in deeper into the topic of discussion today. I hope my audio video is clear. Let's get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right, Radha Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So I picked up this shloka from chapter 7, verse 25, the one that we discussed with Swamiji as well, which introduces the concept of Yogmaya. And that is very relevant to the discussion that we are going to today around Radhashtami. So I'm going to recite it, and then we can have some volunteers who want to recite it afterwards. Naham prakasha sarvasya Yogmaya samavritah Mudhoyam nabhijanati Loko mamajamavyayam. All right. Do we have any volunteers?
Shyamji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe Shyamji. Good to see
you. Thank you so much.
Vijayji is joining as well. So welcome Vijayji to the sessions.
Naham prakasha sarvasya Yogmaya samavrata Mudo yamna bijanati Loko mamajayam. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Shyamji. Very nice. Okay, I can see a few more hands.
Yeah, Sumeshji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Naham prakasah sarvasya Yogamaya samavitah Mudhoyam nabhijanati Loko mamajamapyayam.
Wonderful, Sumeshji. Very nice. Radhe Radhe. Let's take the remaining hands as well.
Pallavi ji, Radhe Radhe.
Pallavi ji.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe Nitinji. Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe.
Naham prakashah sarvasya Yogamaya samavritah Mudho yam nabhijanati Loko mamajam avyayam.
Very nice, Pallavi ji. And I would Encourage participants to recite it, and even though you are muted, try to follow it. Just trying to follow these words, even though they may seem a little difficult to begin with, is very auspicious. And it's just a matter of time before you will be able to do the sandhis and be able to recite it or make sense of it very, very quickly. So do try it out, and you'll presently surprise yourself within a short span of time. All right, let's pick up the remaining hands as well, and then we'll get to the discussion topic for today as well. Maybe three more hands, and then we'll get started.
Okay. Yeah.
Naham, go ahead. Naham Prakash Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavita Mudo Yam Vijanati Loko Mam Jam Avayam. Radhe Radhe.
Mamajamavyayam. Thank you, Samji. Radhe Radhe. All right, we can take the remaining hands real quick.
Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Shramya. Hope your flood situation has improved now.
Our apartment, by God's grace and the volunteers help, yes, but the neighborhood is still bad.
All right, take care. Hope it eases out. Let's get started then.
Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudoyam napi janati loko mamajamavyayam. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Ramya. Wonderful. Okay, remaining hands.
Surendra ji, Radhe Radhe.
Okay, we'll freeze at last three hands then.
नाहं प्रकाश सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मामजम् अवयम्. राधे राधे.
Radhe, thank you, Surendra ji. All right, last two.
Riya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe ji.
Radhe Radhe. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah Mudoyam nabhijanati loko mam ajamavyayam. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Last but not the least, Sandhya.
Yes. Radhe Radhe. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam.
Wonderful. Very nice. So let's get started then. Short translation for the shloka goes like, I am not manifest to everyone, being veiled by my divine Yogmaya energy. Hence, those without knowledge do not know that I am without birth and changeless. Now, God is introducing the concept of Yogmaya. We all have heard about Maya. We all know Maya. What is Maya? That what is not. And fairly comfortable with that concept. Now we'll keep revisiting that as well. Now, what is this Yogamaya power of God is what we are going to look at today from a scriptural standpoint. So, like I said, the topic of our discussion, as you see, our Divine Mother on the left-hand side. So we are going to talk about who is Radharani and what is her relationship with Krishna. And we are going to tackle some of the misunderstanding or ignorance people have about Radharani. Right? Some people say it was kind of a man-woman kind of a relationship. Somebody said he had an extramarital affair. Some say, it was they were both lovers. So many concepts are there about Radha Krishna. That is what we are going to look at. And of course, we are going to have some Janmashtami celebration as well. Some engaging videos and bhajans and all that stuff we'll do towards the end, like we always do. Let's move on. Okay, so you will have to exert yourself a little intellectually today, and feel free to stop me where it's not making sense, but we will go into some of the concepts today. The entities, there are the supreme energetic. Lord Krishna has infinite energies. It is not limited to any finite amount. Now, amongst these, the Yogamaya, the souls, and Maya are the main ones. So, for our understanding, these are the three that we need to focus on, although God has infinite energies. When we will become God realized, then we will get to know For now, let's understand that God has three main energies. What are these three energies or eternal entities? Let's look at those. The first one, God's energy is called Yogmaya Shakti. It is also called God's Atrangi power. The second one is Jiva Shakti. That is what? Who we are. That is our introduction. And third one is called Maya, which does not need any introduction. Jeev and Maya, we know. We are Jeev and Maya, we know. Right? We keep on hearing this word Sab Moh Maya hai and all that stuff. So Maya does not need any introduction. We do understand. Maya is the insentient energy of God, while Yogmaya and us, which is the Jiva Shakti, are the sentient energy of God. Maya is the inferior energy of God. Yogmaya is the superior energy of God. Maya is the Tarangi Shakti of God. Yogmaya is the Maya is the Bahirangi Shakti of God. Yogmaya is the Atarangi Shakti of God. And we are the Tatastha Shakti of God, on the surface of God. Right? It's just like even our body is a complete body, right? But still it is same, but it still has distinctions. For example, our nails, there's a part of it which is insentient, and if you cut it beyond that point, all of a sudden it becomes sentient. So it is similar to our body, and yet it is different. Similar to that, even a tree, everything is a tree, but the twigs, branches, leaves, they do not give you the taste of the fruit. So although fruit, twigs, branches, they are part of the tree, but yet they are different. Similarly, all these are energies of God, yet there is a difference between them. Maya is the external power of God, Yoga Maya is the internal power of God, and we are the Tatastha Shakti. Borderline, you can say that. Okay. Although all of this are energies of God only. So then you will say, what's the point? Okay, where is Radha Tattva here? So let's go a little deeper now. Hope it is all clear until this point. Okay, so one is energizer and the other is the energy. That is the relationship between the two. All right, let's move further. Now let's look at this person. Can we see the face? We cannot. We cannot see the face. Why? Because it is covered by some kind of a veil. And now let's go a little deeper into this discussion. What Lord is saying is that God descends in this world by virtue of his Yogmaya power. So the Yogmaya power that we spoke about, it is a very important power of God. It is a special power of God which enables God to descend on this earth. Right? When God descends as Krishna, as Ram, as Vaman, as Narsingh, which is the power that enables that? It is called Yogmaya. And through this power, God is able to reveal his pastimes as well. His divine abode, divine bliss, love on earth plane. This Yogmaya power is also that power which keeps God hidden from us. That veil, like you see, there's a veil on the face of this girl. Similarly, this veil where we cannot see God is Yogmaya power of God. Okay. It does a lot of job for God. This is just one of many. I'll touch upon others as well. Now, we are not able to feel his presence, even though he's seated within us. And even at present, if you're fortunate enough to see the Lord in his personal form, we cannot recognize him. Right? We have taken infinite births. Is it possible that we have never seen God? No. We all have seen God, and still we were not able to recognize him. Why? Because of this veil, Yogmaya power. Yogmaya power makes it very interesting for God. It does not reveal its true personality unless we are qualified for it. We'll not get into the qualification too much today. But let's understand this is the power which hides God from us. Okay? There's a reason for that. We are conditioned, and until we have that eligibility or that purity, God will be hidden from us. Furthermore, once we are eligible for his divine vision, then the Yogmaya, it keeps until that point, it will keep God concealed from us. And by God's grace alone, Yogmaya bestows upon the divine vision that allows us to recognize and see God. So this was the Yogmaya power that gave the divine vision to even Arjun to see his Vishwaswarup. Through our materialized, we cannot see God. It's only through his Yogamaya power he bestows grace. Okay, it's an important concept. So if you minus Yogamaya power from God, he cannot bestow grace. And you know which aspect of God does not bestow grace? Anybody remembers that? It's on the spot test today. Which was part of which personality or which manifestation of God cannot bestow grace? Yes, Pallavi ji?
Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, Radhe Radhe Nitinji. Brahm.
Very true. So that means the Brahm or Brahman that big yogis and jnanis worship, that aspect of God is devoid of grace. Okay, so that grace is cut in that because you are relying on self-effort alone. So that aspect, the Yogamaya power in Brahman is there, but latent, hidden. The Yogamaya power does not manifest in that. When you add, you make a plus to Brahman with Yogamaya power, now it starts becoming interesting, right? Now it can take a form, it can do pastimes, it can grace as well. Let's move on. Let's go a little deeper into this philosophy. Okay. Not deeper, yeah, in the next one. So if you look at this, we'll talk about our material apparatus now. Stethoscope, doctors use that. It cannot perceive soul. It can perceive heartbeats and stuff. Similarly, the best of the microscopes, you cannot see soul, no matter how hard you try, because it is a material apparatus. Now, soul, if it could see soul, that means it is material. But because soul is divine, the telescope needs to be divine as well in order to see it. Because the telescope is material, it cannot see it, no matter how powerful it is. Now, you know what is this? Forget about soul I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Yogamaya power of God. It cannot be perceived. Now, what is Yogamaya power here? Our scriptures say that the size of our soul, you cannot explain it in material words, but they gave it an attempt. And they said, you take your hair. Don't try this, but it's just trying to explain it. Take your hair and the tip of your hair, break it in 1,000 parts. And assuming you are able to achieve that interesting feat, then take one of that part and break it into another 1,000. That is big the soul is. And the Paramatma part of it, right, which is energized by Yogamaya, is permeated that as well. So when we can't see soul, how can we see the Yogamaya power? It is invisible. We can't see that. It is not perceptible to us at all through the material apparatus. Okay. However, we look at it, this power can do fascinating things. If you look at how many souls are there on our planet itself, there are 7 billion souls. Similar to that, there are so many other planets where the life form exists. Okay? It's not just the human form. So many infinite souls are there. There's a possibility you have life on Sun as well. Science will not agree, but what if somebody's body is made up of fire? They can easily live on the planet Sun. Our body is made up of 5 elements. If somebody's body is made up of fire, there is a possibility there is a life on Sun, which we are not able to perceive. Now, God manages pretty much his entire children, which expand across multiverses, not even this universe. Yes, Sam, you had a question?
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Samji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe. Nitinji, this is a silly question. Like our body also has so many living entities, right? So all of them are different souls.
I'll give you a silly answer.
We have so many souls on us.
Yeah, so yes, that's right. Very true. We have so many souls. which are existing. See, our body is a microcosm of this entire universe, right? So yes, there are so many souls within our body as well. Each microorganism has a soul of its own. Even earthworm, when you cut it in two, it becomes two earthworms. Is that soul got divided? No, there are two souls now. I know you don't like earthworms, that's why you're making that face, but yes, there are souls. Okay, every yoni, that is why 8.4 million yonis are there, and we have been through all of them. Okay, even the microorganisms. Yes, you are right. Every living entity has a soul. In fact, even like trees and all which have life, they are also yonis, right? Which can't move, they are also yonis, and they are all souls. Now, what God does is he has to maintain a database of so many log of all the karmas for so many souls. And when I talk about karmas, he notes down the sankalp of pratyek soul of pratyek kshan of pratyek life. That means of every moment of every life of every soul. And we know how many souls are there. Infinite souls across how many multiples. He maintains that log. What enables God to accomplish this remarkable feat? Yogmaya power. Yogmaya power is what enables God to do that. Let's move on. Also, so many avatar God takes, right? We have seen about 24 avatar is broadly described as for God, but God has takes innumerable avatars. Some have been documented, we know for our reference. Some are happening in other planets. And it is a possibility that while we are speaking right now, that Lord Ram and Lord Krishna avatar is taking place in some Brahmand. He might be giving Bhagavad Gita Gyan somewhere. And God is a frequent traveler. He does not need a passport or a visa. Right? He's just traveling wherever he wants. And those Ram and Krishna avatar are very popular avatar. It's happening in some Brahmand always. God always keeps himself busy. Not even for a moment he's empty, right? And then of course he has to maintain log whichever yoni we go into. And how does he accomplish all these feats? Yogamaya power enables that. Okay? That is the power of Yogamaya. So you will be wondering, God must be having some kind of a supercomputer, right? What kind of a supercomputer God has to be able to accomplish this feat? That supercomputer is the Yogmaya Shakti of God. That is how important the Yogmaya Shakti of God is. Okay? We'll talk a little bit more about it, not today, how it has been described by Maharaj Ji, the Yogmaya Shakti. So the Yogmaya Shakti, if I were to put it simply in a few words, it can make possible impossible and impossible possible. It can make impossible possible, which seems impossible, that it can make possible. Right? There's a beautiful story Swamiji says of a cobbler and a very big scholar. And Narayan, or Narad Muni goes there and asks him, basically meets them, and both of them ask that you keep on meeting Narayan. And when you meet him, ask them, when are we going to do God realization, complete God realization? The scholar asks the same question and cobbler asks the same question as well. So he comes to the Narayan and asks him the question, I met these two people. Narayan obviously asked him anything interesting you did on Mrityulok. He said, I met a cobbler and I met a Vedic scholar. Both of them asked this question of how much time will it take us to do God realization? And Narayan says, it'll not, basically go and tell this guy who's a Vedic scholar that it will take as many lifetimes as many leaves are there in the tree in his backyard. And then to the cobbler, tell them he will achieve it in this very lifetime. And Naradji was not impressed. He said, how is it possible? This guy is a Vedic scholar. He keeps on reciting your name throughout, and he's an ordinary cobbler. He can't even recite a Sanskrit shloka properly. He said, you go and you'll figure it out why. So he goes to this guy, the Vedic scholar, and tells him that, the God, my Narayan. He said, what was Narayan doing? Did you ask that question? He said, yeah, this. He said, what was Narayan doing? So Narayan had told him, tell both of them that Narayan was taking an elephant through the eye of a needle. So he tells the same to this guy. And this Vedic scholar, he started laughing. He said, are you kidding me? What kind of a joke is it that, you've got a good sense of humor? How is it possible? Nobody can do that. I have to wear my glasses to take that. And how can he take elephant from the needle? So then he said, by the way, what is the answer to the question he asked? It will take as many lifetimes, as many leaves are there in your house. And then when he goes to the cobbler starts dancing. He said, my God can make impossible possible. So it is quite possible. He was doing that. He was accomplishing this impossible feat. Now, God can do that feat. What enables him to do that feat? Yogmaya power. So Yogmaya power is something which can make impossible possible. You can pass an elephant through an eye of a needle. If God desires to do so, he can do that. Okay, that is the power of Yogmaya. Now let's move on. Let's take it a little deeper. So this is God's personal form. We spoke about Maya being his external energy. Then we also spoke about the Jiva Shakti, which is us. And then we spoke about the Yogmaya Shakti. Now Yogmaya Shakti, Swarupa Shakti, Para Shakti, they are all the same. They are different names of the same power of God. Okay, it's an important concept. I may ask it in quiz. Okay, I'm giving you a heads up. They are all the same. They're not different. All right. So now let's look at it. Now this Swarupa Shakti, we have zeroed it down to the Yogmaya power. The other two are, one is an inferior Shakti, Maya, and the other is, of course, us, Jiva Shakti. Now within Swarupa Shakti is what is made up of Sat, Chit, and Anand. Okay. These are the three components. We've done this, but I'll revise this. The Sat, God's name is also called Satchidanand, because God is Sat, Chit, and Anand. Right? Eternal, all knowledgeable, all blissful. So God is called Satchidanand. Now Sat is enabled by something called Sandhini Shakti of God. If this Shakti is taken away, we spoke about this Yogamaya power you minus from God, God becomes Nirakar Brahm. Which aspect of Yogamaya power enables that? Sandhini Shakti, okay, which is the Sat aspect of it. That becomes Nirakar Brahm, which the Jnanis worship. The Chit Shakti is enabled by Samvit, the sweetness and friendliness it brings in, the Samvit aspect of it. Okay. And Anand is enabled by Hladini Shakti. Hladini Shakti. Now, important concept to understand is Sat, if you take off Sat, it rolls into Chit. So if you, instead of calling God Satchidanand, then you put a smaller name, right? Like we put smaller nickname. You may call God Chidanand, that is also fine, because Sat is already included in that. However, you want to say, I want to name it further short, you simply call God Anand. That is a complete definition of God. God is bliss. We say that because Anand encapsulates both Sat and Chit in itself. And what is the essence of Anand? Anand is enabled by the Hladini Shakti. And this Shakti is the supreme power. It has power of divine bliss. So Hladini Shakti is the essence of God, basically. Okay, I hope you are with me. I know we are getting a little deeper, but I'm sure you are following so far. Satchitanand, Anand, you simply called God Anand, it covers the other two aspects. Within Anand, the essence of Anand is Hladini Shakti, which is the topmost power of God. Now let's take you a little more deeper now. So we spoke about this concept, that Swarupa Shakti, Yogamaya Shakti. Now what we are going to explain now is Radha Tattva. Now I'm putting a disclaimer here, okay, because I don't have the eligibility to explain it. So this is just a drop of ocean from Maharajji and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this knowledge is made accessible to us by Swamiji. So although I don't have an eligibility, but I have to speak on this session, so I'm telling you this. Theoretically, I can explain it to you to the best of our ability, but this is a very, very deep concept. But let's try to understand it theoretically until we have a practical realization of it one day. Okay. Get into that. We spoke about the Swarupa Shakti, Krishna's power, Jiva Shakti, and Maya Shakti. Within Swarupa Shakti, we said that it is the internal power of God and it is sentient. And then Tatastha power is us, which is Jeev, and Krishna's external power is Maya, insentient power. Within Swarupa Shakti, we said the essence of that is Haladini Shakti, which is called divine bliss. That is where we stopped in our previous slide. Right? Here we'll go just a little more deeper. Essence of Haladini Shakti is called Premanand, divine love. Okay? Essence of divine love, supreme essence of divine love is Mahabhav. Within divine love, there are so many bhavs, but the supreme essence is called Mahabhav. And the personified essence of that Mahabhav is Radharani. Okay. In other words, Radhika Upanishad says, Ye yam Radha yascha Krishna. Whatever is Krishna, same is Radha. Whatever is Radha, same is Krishna. Both are same. So the relationship between Radha and Krishna is like that of milk and whiteness. Both are inseparable. That of heat and light. Both are inseparable. Okay? In divine pastimes, they have become two. Krishna has, but they are both the same. There is absolutely no difference. So there's not even a question of marrying here or a common boy or a girl here. Yes, in divine pastimes they do that, but they are inseparable. They are the same entity. In divine pastimes, they do that to give us the basis for devotion and to tell us what true selfless love is. However, in reality, they are both the same. Adviti ek tattva hai. Tomorrow I'll bring in Maharajji's couple of couplets around this. They are non-separable from each other. Both are same. It is the female form of Lord Krishna himself. Right? He said, people will say, we just have a father. Right? They will feel bereft of motherly love. So he distilled his most purest loving form and made it Radharani. Now you have a mother also, and you can have the Yugal Ras, mother and father both. Okay, so it's not fun getting raised by a single parent, right? So we need bliss of both. So God has created bliss of both for us. He said, all right. And we are fortunate because Krishna can devour the ras of Radha, and Radha can devour the ras of Krishna in divine pastime. As souls, we are fortunate to devour the ras of both. So we are much more fortunate in that sense, provided we gain that eligibility. That is the beauty of devotion. You will rest when you do that. All right, let's look at it a little more now. Now, Radha, then you will, next question would come is, all right, you're talking about Radha, then who is Durga and who's Sita and Parvati and Kali and all that stuff, right? Let's tackle that as well. Now, similar to God, his Yogmaya energy is both formless and manifests into personal forms. Okay? Similar to God, God is both form and formless. By now, I think we have made peace with this fact without anything, right? We have discussed that multiple times. If anybody has doubt, we can talk about it again. It's just like water, vapor, and ice. All are water, and yet one has taken on a form, another has not. Similarly, God is both formless and has a form. Our soul, does it have a form? It's formless. It has formless, right? But it takes on a form in form of a body, human body, cat's body, dog's body, tree's body. Similarly, God can also take on a form. And nobody can restrict God from taking on a form. And our scriptures tell us it has both form and is formless. Similar to that, even the Yogmaya power of God is both, has a form as well as it is formless. In fact, okay, let's move on. So if you look at it, Radha is the divine mother, which can manifest in various forms. These are only the different moods of the same divine mother. In official mood, it becomes Durga. When it wants to knock off some demons, it assumes the form of a Kali. So these are nothing but the form of the same divine mother. Mother, when she goes to school or she's a judge, she is in an official avatar. But when she comes back home, she's in a sweet, loving form, and that form is called Radha Tattva. So if you look at God, whether his energy form or energetic form, there are so many different manifestations of the same God. If we talk about Shaktiman, he manifests as Krishna. manifests as Ram, Shiv, and so many other avatars. So we have heard about this concept. Like in India, they say there is unity in diversity. In God, there is diversity in unity. Okay? God has given us diversity. So much diversity based on what appeals to you. Some people feel fascination towards Lord Shiva. Some people feel fascination, their imagination is captivated by Lord Ganesha. Right? Some people want to worship him as Lord Ram. So God says, I am willing to engage you in whatever form you wish to see me in. And there's a diversity in unity, although it's the same God. And same thing happens with the Yogmaya power of God as well. Shakti, she manifests as different forms. In Ram Avatar, she came in as Sita. In Radhika Upanishad, Krishna says, you are the Sita, you are the Lakshmi, you are the Rukmani. Basically, it's the same tattva which has taken on different forms in different avatars. And Radha Sita, they are all the divine forms of the Yogmaya energy of God. So this confusion should never come in our minds. Who is what? Yes, Shyamji? This seems to be your favorite topic whenever multiple forms of God comes, right? What is
Radhe
what?
Radhe.
Radhe, yes, always. I do not know, but somehow I do not know. See, my doubts have been cleared, as I always tell you. But I just want to again ask you the same question over and over again. Since I was earlier worshipping Lord Ma Durga, so was it that I was worshipping Radharani through her only? And now, since I have come to this session, I'm more realized. I will say not realized, but I am more do not what to say. So I am now directly to Radharani. Is that so?
It's the same mother. See, when you previously liked mother in her teacher form, okay, when she's wielding stick and making sure people are disciplined, because she's the governor of this material universe. Now you have started associating, you have started liking more the form of when mother comes down and lets her guard off and she's in a blissful, only compassionate, loving form. It is the same mother. If father changes dresses, the kid does not get confused. My father has changed. He's going to office in a different dress. When he comes back, he's in a different dress. They don't get confused, right? Jay Bachchan doesn't get confused that my husband, I married a cool, the cool guy and now he's become a coolie. So that way, a true devotee doesn't get confused. He says it's the same mother. It's a different mood that I'm associating to, and that's about it. Nothing more.
Yeah, but see, Jay was aware na, that Amitabh is playing roles. So I was not aware. Na. I am still, what do you say, Agyani, Mahamuraks. I had no clue.
You
Since
were, now you don't have that excuse. I've explained you, so you make peace with it now. The same mother.
Radhe, Radhe. Thank you so much.
The same mother. So good news is you are still associating. The person has not changed. Personality has not changed. You can worship as whichever form. Like Tulsidas, when he worshipped, Krishna came in his avatar with Murli and he said, Tulsi, I forgot that. Chode tav haath, dharo haath dhanush baan. Basically, he said, I want to see you in that form only because he had always worshipped him as Lord Ram. So he wanted to see in the same form in which he associated with God as his Ishtadev. Although both are same, he also understands that. But you get a fascination to a particular form, sure, it's the same thing. There's absolutely no difference there. Right?
So if I have now changed my fascination, it's okay.
It's
Nothing
your
will happen. It's all perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine. No need to change. They are all the same. That's the key understanding. Devotee understands and he doesn't get confused. It said, all right, my lord, today you are in a different mood, so that is fine too. That is how you look at it. Not that, oh my God, now I'm changing my Ishtadev or this is not the same. No, you don't think it that way. Okay, now this polytheism, let's understand it. Before we get into our discussion, I thought it's a good opportunity. Swamiji always has his ways of telling us things, right? So that is for you. So this guy is in a sinking boat, as you can see. Okay, so what he does is, because his Lord Shiva's worship, he calls Lord Shiva. But then the faith, how our faith goes. What if Lord Shiva doesn't come? So because his boat is sinking, he ditches that plan. He instead starts calling Mother Parvati. So Lord Shiva, he was about to reach him and he retreated. And Goddess Parvati is also taking time. So she was coming, and this guy again said, all right, even she's not coming. So he started calling Ganesha. Right. So Mother Parvati also retreated. And then in the meantime, what happened? The boat capsized and this guy got drowned. Okay, because Ganesha also took a bit of a time. So this was the thing basically where polytheism we talk about. When we worship multiple gods and we don't have faith on any, right? Swamiji beautifully says that ek sadhe sab sadhe na goe. You worship one, you perfect your devotion in that. You have already worshipped all. You don't have to do, okay, now let me do Durga and now let me do Radha and let me do Kali and let me do now Ganesha and now let me do Ram, a little bit of Krishna. Doesn't work that way. One you do, you have already done it for all. The devotee understands that part. Okay. So in Western circles, this concept is a little misunderstood as well, polytheism. Right? Even my friends, when I was doing my management, they used to, kind of, I would just remark, but had a bit of a, not convinced about the fact that you have so many gods, multiple god theory. So first of all, I had a hard time explaining, and devatas are not God. 33 crore devatas are there. They're not God. So let's not mix it with that. But he said you have monkey god, snake god, this god, that god, so many god. So they are the forms of the same God. He's given you a choice. Whichever form you get associated to, just feel free to get associated with it. It's like one sun or one moon is there. You put 1,000 vessels below. And if you see 1,000 reflections, can we say the moon has multiplied? No, the moon is still the same. You are simply seeing its reflections. So this was a joke Swami he said that one of the fathers said, you know what, you guys do polytheism. Instead of that, if this guy had simply called upon Jesus, then Jesus would have come and saved him. No confusion of calling Shiv and then Parvati and then Ganesha, right? So Swamiji brought him. He said, I asked him a question. Okay, this is one boat scenario, sinking scenario. What if one boat is sinking in Hudson and the other one is in Thames and third one in Ganga? Then what would have happened? We have one Jesus, right? He said, then we would have sent one Shiva there, one Parvati there, and one Ganesha there, and it would have taken care of all the scenarios, right? So the point here is, first of all, we have to understand polytheism in its entirety and in proper context. They are all the different forms of the same God. So when we get confused, I've seen, people have in their altar, they will put 5 or 6, 7 different gods there and hedge their bets, risk mitigation. If one doesn't hear, the other will at least, right? So that doesn't basically, you're not digging a well properly there because your faith in none of them is proper. You're doing a little bit of this, little bit of that, and that is because of ignorance or confusion. So anyways, that's not the key thing was the Yogmaya aspect that we spoke about. Now, from a practical standpoint, what does it mean for us? And that is where we can have a bit of a discussion. I wanted to show you a beautiful video as well. Maybe we can have a little bit of discussion because we're going to spend a little bit of time on Radha Ashtami today. And there is a very beautiful Leela video that has been created. I wanted to show you while you mull over this question. I wanted to let you know that these are the two aspects as we have summarized of the same God. Now, is there any benefit of approaching, worshipping Divine Father versus coming through your Divine Mother is the question you can contemplate upon while I pull out a beautiful video that you can hold your breaths on that I'm going to play on your screen, which has been created by our very creative team. Am I allowed to share that, Samji, or not yet? Did you say yes? Okay, good. All right. So let me stop share for a minute. Any questions anybody had in the meantime? I will have to stop share for a bit.
Shri Ramya ji has asked a question.
Sure.
She's asking, is Rukmini ji also same as Radha ji?
Okay, we spoke about this concept of 3 types of gopis. Yes, actually Lakshmi, all they are same. However, the manifestation or the bhav that they have varies. They're part of the same divine tattva. Now it gets a little interesting. However, Rukmini falls into the second category of gopis. Okay, when I say that, that means that is called Samanjasya Rati Gopi, where 50-50 they have. 50% love for their own sake and 50% for the sake of Krishna. That is the manifestation in that particular Leela as Rukmini. And Lakshmi, Rukmini, they are all the same. But even in divine Leelas, the manifestation is different there. I hope that answered your question. Radha is Samartharati. She's like, and then there is a bhav in Mahabhav also, which is reserved only for Radharani, which is called Madanakhya Mahabhav. Even Krishna doesn't have access to that feeling of divine ecstasy, which only Radharani has.
Also, Samji, it's her birthday today, I guess, or yesterday it was, but for CST it is today. So happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday, Samji. Very many happy returns of the day. I mean, it coincided with Radhashtami or somewhere around that.
Yeah, 5th September. So Teachers' Day, Radhashtami. Yeah.
Teachers' Day. Wonderful. Happy birthday. Many happy returns from our Delhi Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita family to you. That is wonderful. Now I'm going to pull up that video and I really liked it, and we're going to share something else as well. Let me know when you see my... Anybody has any other questions in the meantime while I share this beautiful... Yes, please.
Yes. Samji, Radhe Radhe. I mean, other Samji from Chicago. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so by the same token, if somebody is worshipping, for example, a deity of Lord Ganesha and happen to be saying Vaheguru, or for that matter, Lord Radharani in the female form, and Ankh Band Karke, in case keep on repeating that one, even then I think there should not be any kind of problem with that accidentally in case somebody does it. What do you think of that?
What does... I didn't get your question, Samji. Can you be a little... Did anybody understand that question?
No, I'm saying if some deity of Lord Ganesha or somebody is there, and if somebody, a devotee, happen to be saying Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, or Radharani, but happen to be the deity Murti ho, Lord Ganesh ki kisi aur ki bhi ho. So I think by the same token, it should not be any kind of offending to any other god, because ultimately, as you said, we're the same god. Same male, female, Radharani, Sitarani, or Lord Ganesha, Lord Shiva.
True. However, yeah, it's just like calling Ramesh Ganesh, right? Or Ganesh Umesh. Why would somebody want to do that? When they understand that, they would typically associate with that.
Not knowingly, but they may be knowing out of devotion.
But what is going on in your mind is actually carries value. So if you are making that sentiment towards that Ishta Dev that you have, absolutely fine. It's not your physical activity, but your mental exertion that you are doing, that carries weight. Okay, that is the principle. So what's going on in your mind is actually important. So yeah, you could have Ganesha in front of you and you could be worshipping Radha in your mind, or the other way around. What you are doing in your mind is what truly counts, nothing else. That's why Maharaji actually lays a lot of emphasis on making Manomai Murti. You can make so many Murtis. You can actually worship or do Rup Dhyan on the Murti or the painting that some painter has created, or a deity that a sculpture has created. But the best one is the Manomai. You can make your own thing, and that is the highest, because you can carry it always. The other ones you can't carry. Can you carry? I mean, Shaligram and all you can, but then it gives you the complete flexibility and freedom to do that. The Manomai Murti is the best one, the topmost one actually. Yes, Kripa had, and I see some new hands. So let's take their questions and then we'll show the video. A couple of videos.
Yeah. Radhe Radhe Kripa ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. How is Devta and a god different?
Devatas are souls like us. You and I can be a Devata, and possibly we have been a Devata as well. They are just posts given to eligible souls. For example, you have a president, prime minister, and then he has a portfolio, railway minister, this minister, that minister. These are only posts, time-bound posts. After their tenure is over, then new people come and take that post. So Devata is like a light switch, and God is the powerhouse. So Devata is a post. It is not God. They are also in material world like us, just an elevated state they are in. And they are also rotating in 8.4 million species. They are not beyond Maya. Did I answer your question? Kripa, did that
Yes,
answer?
I guess. There's one more question from Sairam Shekharji. He's asking if Ma Saraswati is also considered as an expansion of Durga
Yes,
and Radharani.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. I've just picked up few, but yes, that's right. Goddess of knowledge. Yeah.
Saikatji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Saikatji,
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
My question is that Srimati Radharani is the divine mother. So why in Brahmavarta Puran she rejected Mahavishnu as her son?
Mahavishnu as her son. I don't know. I've not read that story, but maybe we have to look at that story in entirety. There are so many things that our scriptures talk about, but I'm just telling you the essence of it. Now, I don't know where this story or what is the complete context of that story, right? For example, if I pick up the other Quran, we say why if Mother Parvati is our divine mother, why did she became a sati, or why did she rejected her, right? There's a big leela around that as well. So probably I'll have to look at that story in complete entirety to sell. It could be a pure divine leela that it is doing. Mother Parvati and Sita are same, right? Even then, Mother Parvati had to become a sati and then get reborn as a Himalaya's daughter, and Shiva accepted her again. And that Leela was completely enacted to tell the souls, don't put your intellect in God's divine Leelas. So these stories have to be looked at it in entirety. If we selectively pick up a part and ask or put a question, then it may confuse us further. But if there is something, you can send me the reference and I can try to clarify that out for you. But I think there must be more context to that whole part.
Yes. Chandruji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Chandruji.
Radhe Radhe. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Radhe Radhe. I like the point that the Swamiji makes in the Bhagavad Gita on that verse 25, saying that Yogmaya has two functions. He has this, what is that, Maya, the veil which is covering him, and he is giving a chance to those souls who have turned their backs, who are vimukh, and they are covered by this Maya, and they are losing out the grace from Krishna, of his Yogmaya power. So the second function that he does is, if we become Sanmukh and we turn our face back towards God and we come in surrender, he bestows his grace upon us and he releases us from this Maya Shakti. So this little paragraph really gives me a good understanding of his energy, of his Yogmaya Shakti. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Chandruji. Yeah, very true. That's a point we were talking about, that the grace part, the grace we spoke about, it graces. If you look at this slide in front of you, until we are eligible for it, it keeps, and then only by God's grace, Yogmaya bestows us the divine vision that allows us to recognize and see God. So yes, the grace aspect is enabled through this Yogmaya power of God. Very true. And then, but we have to seek eligibility for it by complete surrender. All right. Any other questions? Or I can show that video and then we can continue that discussion. Let's look at the small Radhashtami special stuff where beautiful Leela has been enacted. So let's relish it. Let me enable share the screen with audio. Please let me know if you're able to hear it and then we will continue. Are you able to see it?
We can see it. Yeah, we can see it as well.
Okay, great. Let's enjoy this. Okay, our team has creative team of daily wisdom from Bhagavad Gita plus some other participants. They have created it. So let's look at that. And tomorrow we'll show you another one.
What is so special about these gopis, Satyabhama? The moment our divine husband thinks of them, he totally forgets about us.
Sister Rukumani, I wonder too.
These people do not understand the love of the gopis. I must enact a leela to show them. My head is hurting so much. I can't bear it. Help!
Oh, my lord, I know. Paracetamol will work.
Well, crucian also will work.
Oh, my grandmother used to put wet cloth on my head. It used to work. Let me try that.
Poor things. They think they can cure my headache with pills and grandmother cures.
Narayan, Narayan. I always wondered how the love of gopis towards Sri Krishna is. It would be nice if I could get a chance to see their love for Krishna.
Narayan, Narayan. Mata Rukmini, what's the problem? Why so serious?
Devarshi, it's a serious matter. Our husband is suffering from the most splitting headache and nothing is working.
Really? Oh Shyam Sundar, this disease which you have created, you tell us how it will be cured. If you create something, then you give the remedy.
Oh Narad, you love to joke, don't you? I am in such agony and you are telling I created this headache? Anyway, since you demand, I will tell you the cure. If I get the food dust of any of my devotees, mix it in water and drink it, I will be cured.
Oh, it's such a small matter. Your queens are all your devotees. Mahaprabhu, Mata Rukmini, all we need is the dust of your lotus feet. The moment it's fed to Sri Krishna, the headache will disappear.
Naradji, are you out of your mind? Do we give our feet dust to the God? Do we know what the consequence will be? I will go to hell. I cannot do this.
Mata Satyabhama, your food dust please.
Naradji, my food dust? I never heard of a lady giving her food dust to her husband. What you are talking about? Sorry, I can't do it.
No!
Interesting. No queen is giving her food dust.
Naradji, you are also a saint now. You can give your food dust, isn't it?
Look, I don't know what the consequence will be. In Ramavatar, I become monkey. So, I need to be cautious now, you know?
Devarshi, come here. I will tell you. You will not get this food dust here. Go to Braj and tell the gopis.
I reached Vrindavan, the divine abode of Radha Krishna on earth.
Mahatma Narad, welcome. Please come. Naradji, you are a Mahatma. You are always up to date on happenings across the universe. Please tell us how is our beloved Shyam Sundar?
Gopis, there is news. Krishna is suffering from headache, and only food dust of his devotees can cure it.
Our Shyam Sundar is suffering from headache. Naradji, please take my food dust. Please take all our food dust. Take how much ever you want. Saki, get the U-Haul, fill it all up.
Do you know for whom I am asking this test?
You know, for Shyam Sundar.
Do you know he is God?
Yes, we have also heard the rumors.
So you want to give food dust of yours to God? Have you pondered upon the consequences?
Maharaj, we realize there will be repercussions. The maximum will be this, we'll go to hell. So Naradji, listen to one thing. This hell has no importance for us. Narak, Swarg, Mrityulok, they are all the same. They are different for those who seek their own happiness. But in our case, our only goal is tat sukha sukhitvam. We only desire the happiness of our brand Priyatam Krishna. Wherever he gets it, that's where we'll be happy. But Naraji, this is no time for any discussion. Go and give the food dust. Then come back and we can have a discussion.
My God, the love of gopis to Krishna is extremely imprecise. I am also a saint, and they are also saints. But the quality of love that they have, I can never match it. So let me sit under a tree and savor some of the padras before going to Dwarka. I savored the padras to my heart's content. Let me now continue my journey to Dwarka. Narayan, Narayan.
Shyam Sundar, here you go. Padraja Gopis, your exalted devotees.
Thank you, Devashi. I feel much better now.
Wow. Now we want to hear the past tense of our beloved husband with the super excellent devotees, the gopis.
Absolutely.
All right. If I was in an Oscar jury, I would have nominated Ashutosh ji and Sam ji, both for the award. But the best supporting actor role goes to Satyabhama. Who is Satyabhama now? I really want to know.
Actually, even that Krishna's role was also pretty good. It's just
No,
kid,
everybody,
right? Who was doing
everybody,
it?
everybody did. It's a very
Yeah,
beautiful.
wonderful.
But Satyabhama was an interesting character, whoever it was, okay? And Ashutosh ji was a revelation, and Sam ji was like, your entry itself was very, very impressive, Sam ji. So very nice.
Wait, Robin Bhaiya, so Satyabhama was a male.
Yeah, it was a male, I guess.
Interesting. Nice.
Interesting. Very nice. So that was a small presentation created by Sam ji and team. Ashutosh ji was a surprise package, I must say that. And our Sakhi duo has also created. Okay. There's an odd guy out there, but we'll show you that video tomorrow. It's a beautiful creation, another Leela that they have created. We're going to look at, and then Urvi has a presentation coming. Urvi, you think tomorrow we can do that? Wonderful. All right, we'll plan out the time around that. Great. Anybody had question? I had seen a couple of hands raised. RTG, you had a question.
Actually,
yes, sorry.
Padma ji had also raised
Padma ji, yes.
her hand earlier.
Okay, Ratnaji, Padmaji, Swatiji, Artiji had also raised. So we can take a few questions. Any announcements you wanted to make? I think are we done with the year now? No more announcements?
There will be Navratri celebrations coming up, but we don't have schedule fixed as of now to
Okay.
announce, but we will soon be announcing that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
For a
I
change,
guess
today's announcement is that there are no announcements for today. All right. So great. But yeah, that was a very nice video. So thanks for putting it together, Ashutosh, Sam ji, and team. I really loved it. And I know it takes time, effort, energy, and Radha Ashtami, you guys did that beautiful Leela. So congratulations to the entire team for that. Thank you so much.
I mean, amazing with all the dresses, props, giving that feel. It was wonderful. And I mean, honestly, we look forward to seeing many more of that in future from you guys.
The good thing is that it was done in a very fun, humorous way, and you guys brought your personality to the fore, which was very nice. So very spontaneous. Thank you for putting it together. All right. Let's take a few questions if anybody has, and then we can continue and maybe have a bit of chantings, move over to that segment. I'm sure we can, on Radha Rani's birthday, we can go with a few chantings and then wrap up the session. Tomorrow we'll continue a little more aspects we will explore on this, and then we will start with chapter 2. That is what we are going to recap, similar to how we did for chapter 1. All right, let's take the hands and then just going.
Yes, Ratna ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. On polytheism, I mean, this analogy sort of comes to mind where if we think worshipping Krishna, Sri Krishna and Sri Radharani is like worshipping the ocean, and worshipping the other gods is like worshipping the rivers and lakes. But I think somewhere why it is difficult for us to stick to one God is also because for many of us ignorant souls, having access to ocean is not possible for everyone. I know only a lucky few will have the coastal region access. So I think somewhere we get lost in worshipping the rivers and lakes because it is real and she is nourishing us right here, right now, helping us grow. I think that is also one of the reasons why we worship other gods and devatas. And one more thing was, yeah, so divine soul, if we have the understanding that, okay, worshipping these gods, because rivers will eventually reach the ocean anyways, it has to. So if we have that understanding of, even though we are worshipping the rivers, it is equivalent to worshipping Sri Krishna and Sri Radharani. I think this understanding can expand the devotion a little bit, I suppose.
Your idea, that's perfectly okay. It's Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita that even if you're worshipping the Devata, finally it comes to him only. So if we choose to see Devata, if you're talking about Devata, then obviously it's born out of our ignorance and the material rewards for which we are going after them, right? If you're talking about different Ishtadev, yes, whichever form we get associated to, it's the same part of it, right? We will talk about why Krishna avatar is considered special. That form of God is considered easy to attach our mind to. We can talk about that. There are 4 madhuris that we get freedom, which is not possible in other avatars, right? Because of their manifestations. For example, in Lord Shiva, can you imagine making Lord Shiva as your ghoda? That, okay, Lord Shiva, you become my ghoda and I will go on top of you? No. Or can you put your arm around Lord Ram and say, all right, become my charioteer, now you are my friend? We cannot. So there are certain protocols that come just because of the avatar and the decorum, or the purpose for which that avatar took place. So it becomes easy for us to associate to a particular form. Having said that, wherever you feel your natural tendency because of your past sanskar, it's perfectly okay. We may choose to get attracted by a certain form of God, which is perfectly okay. And maybe the river example is not correct because all are ocean, I would say. But if you're talking about river, that might be a devata, because it's like worshipping a light switch instead of a powerhouse, which is probably not so smart, because light switch is deriving its energy from the powerhouse. Nothing stops us from attaching our mind directly to powerhouse, especially if we are exposed to the spiritual knowledge. But if we are limiting ourselves to the material rewards only, then we can continue to worship devatas. They have that limited ability to give us boons, but they cannot take us beyond Maya. They don't have that ability to do that because they are also struggling in Mayic world. So it depends whether we are doing it for God and God's forms, or we are doing it for devatas, and for what purpose. Intent is important. Are we asking God for God, or are we asking God for the things God can give us? That can make a lot of difference with regards to our spiritual progress as well. Okay.
All right. Yeah, Padmaji, you had a question. Radhe Radhe.
Yes, Padmaji.
Radhe Radhe. No, not a question. Just some comments. The beauty of any household, specifically like Indian household, the beauty is the either if it's a picture or an idol, like we are presented every single day like different forms or avatars, whatever the word that you want to use. Their representation of the leelas and the lessons and connections that we can make to different forms of God through whatever affinity that we have. So we are directly, what we are blessed with is all those different forms of God, where more than our intellectual understanding of the forms. It's the spiritual connection that we are striving for, and what we teach our children, right? We have different books that we present to the child. We present to them different pictures. We present to them different ideals. Right now, yesterday was Radhashtami. Like this weekend was Radhashtami. The whole 9 days we practice. We are worshiping Lord Ganesha, right? So the flavors that they come with is the blessing of God to give us so many different forms of how wherever we are, and how we are able to connect and eventually grow in our spiritual path to connect to those leelas and the lessons that each of those forms have given us. So that is the beauty. So the connection itself that we make with God, rather than intellectualizing that connection, if you sit with yourself in peace and experience that bliss that you connect with any form of God, and even if you have switched that form of God, you cannot deny that spiritual experience that you have experienced. Maybe you can deny the perception of the image that you have in your mind, and then trying to adopt your mind, which is conditioned to the form that you have been used to. When I say you, your mind is used to, but your spiritual experience that you have experienced, you cannot deny that even if you switch in a different form. That is true, that is honest, that is spiritual, that is something that you can own and say, yes, I had this divine and spiritual experience. Doesn't matter mentally if you're moving from one form to another form and you have to intellectualize that form, but the experience itself, you cannot deny that. That was something that I wanted to say. For all the participants in the video, words cannot say much, so lots of love to everybody who was out there. It was wonderful. Obviously, they're all blessed with the God and Guru Swamiji. So that's all I have to say. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Padmaji. Wonderful. Chirag ji, I see you
Chirag.
today.
Yeah, Chirag ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. So my question is, there is a common belief that if you are worshipping Lord Krishna, then you have to deal with so many hardships. And if you are worshipping Lord Shiva, then you can get your things done very easily. So how authentic it is? And if it is true, then to which extent?
See, end of the day, let's understand what is the end objective here. Okay. End objective is to complete God realization. Right? And that is clearing the entrance of God. So all these things that we're talking about, you can delay the inevitable, but God is not going to take you. It's just like, does an army fill the vacancies just because it has a spot? No, it will not. So God will make sure you have reached that perfection until that point, he will not accept you. Whether it's Lord Shiva, whether it's Lord Rama in Saket Lok, or Lord Shiva in Shiv Lok, or Devi in Devi Lok, or Krishna in Golok. Regardless, you will have to achieve that perfection. So that doesn't mean Lord Shiva has lowered his bar for that entrance, because they are all the same. So it's a common misconception. End of the day, you have to become pure to be able to get grace from God, and only through grace of God will you get God. Now we cannot say grace of God comes cheaper, from one form of God, because his eligibility criteria is lower. Okay, and your testing will be much more if you go to Krishna. No, nothing of that sort. Your testing will be pretty much the same, because the lessons that we need to learn, until we have perfected ourselves, right, and risen above the dualities and purified our antakaran completely, no form of God will be able to accept you. That's his rule. Right? So his surrender rule is not relaxed in any other form. It still remains the same. But the bliss that you get out of that form, that can vary. So we are talking about God realization. It's not an ordinary bliss. However, within that also there are so many possibilities, right? Some people say, I'm fine if I worship God from a distance as my master. Somebody says, no, I need personal association. I need the privilege to at least touch his feet. Somebody will say, no, I need to go a little more closer and put my arm around him as a friend. Somebody will say, no, I want to go a little more closer. I want to, treat him like my kid, beat him up as well if need be. And somebody will say, no, I want to treat him like my lover, so that I have all the freedom with him, including that of all the lower bhavs. But that doesn't mean the the extent to which you need, even for the lowest form, even worship him like a king or from a distance. If it is Lord Shiva, the entry criteria is relaxed. No, you'll still have to go through the same tests in order to do God realization. So that's probably a incorrect understanding around this concept if somebody says that.
All right. So, I don't know, Sumesh, Swati ji wanted to give, I think, Radharani related some verse she wanted to, I think, recite, and we have her video also on. So I think we'll take her next.
Swati ji, please.
Very nice to see you.
Take some Radha, yeah, Radha bhajans, Radha recitations, because it's Radha Ashtami. So let's bring it on then.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I want to tell a small story regarding Radha Leela.
Sure.
So it's like few minutes only, not big story, small only. Once what happened, Krishna was acting as a lover of Vrinda and he was roaming with her. And when the Radharani saw her, Krishna with Vrinda, she became very angry on him and she became jealous and started fighting with Krishna. And Sridhama, his close friend, he is the devotee of Krishna, was unable to hear this, that she was insulting or telling few bad words about Krishna. So he warned her that keep quiet, don't speak something ill about Krishna. And still she kept on arguing with Sridhama also over the true love, that you don't know, he is not supposed to go with anybody else. So it was like fight between both. And then in that argument, she became very furious and then she gave curse to Sridhama that you will be a demon in the next life. And so he was taken form of, not form, he took the birth of Shankachud, who is the husband of Vrinda. And that story is different. He became Asur. And then Sridhama also cursed her that you have cursed me, so now you will be also be separated from Krishna for 100 years. So then she had to take that birth. He told that you will take the birth in the Mrityu Lok and you will be separated for 100 years. It's just for that curse to be get completed because she was separated from Krishna for 100 years. That is, I think they have related this story about that. So then when she took birth, it's like divine birth. They don't take normal birth like us. So in some story, they are showing that Vrishban got one lotus. In that lotus, Radharani was there. And in some stories, they show that she took birth in their house. Kirtida was her mother and Vrishbanu was his father. When she came, she took birth. But when she left from this Golok, she told Krishna that I will not open my eyes till you come and show me your face because I don't want to see the sansar. I want to see you first. So she closed her eyes. And then when Vishwanu and Kesira, they saw that she is not opening the eyes. They tried showing to many Vaidyas and then they tried to give her treatment, but Radharani did not open her eyes. And after a few years, Krishna came with the Nand Baba and Yashodamaya because they were friend of Vishwanu and Kirtida. So when they came inside, and then Krishna also came. When they saw the Radharani, Nand Baba and Yashoda, they showered their blessing on her. And then when Krishna came, and then he saw, and so she was sleeping in the cot of her bed, and then he just touched her hand with his hand. And then after that hand he touched, she opened her eyes. And then everybody was happy seeing that she has started seeing. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful. Thank you for narrating that story. I think we heard that yesterday as well. Yeah, that's a beautiful story on when Radharani opened her eyes for the first time. Yep. Thank you so much, Swati ji, for narrating that. All right, couple of hands.
Yes, Sumesh ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I want to sing two lines for Lotus Feet of Sri Radharani from Sankirtan.
Sure.
चरणान की बलि जाए किशोरी तोरी चरणान की बलि जाए किशोरी तोरी जिन चरणान को चापत हरि नीत जिन चरणान को चापत हरि नीत का महिमा मैं गाऊं किशोरी तोरी चरणन की बलि जा। यह कृपालु की चाह रैन दीन। यह कृपालु की चाह रैन दीन। चरणन ध्यान लगाऊं किशोरी तोरी चरणन की बलि जाऊं किशोरी तोरी। राधे राधे। Thank you.
Thank you, Someshi. That's a very nice
Wow.
rendition. It's a very powerful and it's a very profound bhajan from Maharajji. So thank you so much for that. You put a lot of contemplation on this one. You could clearly sense that. Thank you so much for that, Someshi. All right. All right. Pilji's back and we have 3 more hands. So let's do that. We have 9 more minutes. So
I think even Ashutosh ji had raised his hand at
So
some point.
Ashutoshi, you're not allowed to pull you back. We discovered a new talent today in you. That was pretty amazing performance today. Yes, Samji, you wanted to sing as well?
I just wanted to wanted to recite this one. Sri Ramya ji was asking, right? Is Rukmini ji and Radha same? Swamiji always recites this when saying that they are all same. So यथा त्वं राधिका देवी गोलोके गोकुले तथा वैकुण्ठे च महालक्ष्मी भवती च सरस्वती भवती भत्यलक्ष्मीश्च क्षीरोदशायिन प्रिया धर्मपुत्र वधूस्त्वं च शान्तिर्लक्ष्मी स्वरूपिणी कपिलस्य प्रिया कान्ता भारते भारती सती द्वारवत्यां महालक्ष्मी भवती रुक्मिणी सती त्वं सीता मिथिलायां च त्वच्छाया द्रौपदी सती रावणेन हृता त्वं च रामस्य कामिनी.
Wonderful.
I like that.
How did you manage
Wow.
to capture that? I could not when Swamiji recited that. Now you have to tell me the technology for that.
It's in Bhagavad Gita, right?
It's in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
You tell me the page number then.
Yeah, I'll search and tell you.
Very nice. Thank you so much for reciting that. I know it's in Radhika Upanishad. He's telling you are the same basically. It puts this whole discussion to perspective when we talk about, the different forms of Devi. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, we have 4 more hands, 2 more people. Yes, Padmaji, real quick, and then we have 3 more we can cover by next. So
Yes, so we have 4 participants, and should I also put a timer, like just to keep
sure.
everyone?
Yeah, so that we can cover all.
Yeah, okay. I'll put the timer in the background. In the meanwhile, Padmaji, you can.
Yes,
Radhe
Padmaji,
Radhe.
go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Samji threw me off. I actually had that in like Carnatic, but I just switch and just do something else for just 4 lines. This is from Sankirtan Madhuri. Maybe tomorrow I will do what Samji did. Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe. Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe. Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe. Radhe Krishna Radhe Krishna Radhe Krishna Radhe. Radhe Krishna Radhe Krishna Radhe Krishna Radhe. Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe. कृष्ण बड़े नट खट भोरी बारी राधे. कृष्ण बड़े नट खट भोरी बारी राधे. भोरी बारी राधे. जय राधे कृष्ण राधे. राधे कृष्ण राधे. कृष्ण बड़े निष्ठुर दयामयी राधे. कृष्ण बड़े निष्ठुर दयामयी राधे. जय राधे कृष्ण राधे. राधे कृष्ण राधे. राधे कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण राधे. कृष्ण तो है तेरे मेरे सीधी सादी राधे, कृष्ण तो है तेरे मेरे सीधी सादी राधे, सीधी सादी राधे, जय राधे कृष्ण राधे, राधे कृष्ण राधे, जय राधे कृष्ण राधे.
Thank you, Padma ji. It's a beautiful composition. Krishna to hai natkhat Siddhi Sadi Radhe. It's a very, very beautiful bhajan. And we have sung and enjoyed this nectar a lot in our bhajans too. All right, how many more hands do we have then? Thank you so much again.
3 hands, and probably we can take Ashutoshi first because he had earlier raised his hand, and then Urvi, and then Payarji saved for the last.
Yes.
Okay, Ashutoshi, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Yes. I like to recite first two verses of this Bhakti Satak.
Oh yes, please. Aditi ek tattva hai. Please go ahead.
Yes. अद्वितीय एक तत्व है, राधा तत्व प्रधान, राधे राधे. या को दूजो रूप है, स्वयं कृष्ण भगवान, राधे राधे. जोई राधा सोई कृष्ण है, इनमें भेद न मान, राधे राधे. एक है राधिनी शक्ति अरु, शक्तिमान एक जान, राधे राधे. जय राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे, राधे कृष्ण राधे. जय राधे श्री राधे राधे, जय राधे श्री राधे. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Ashutosh.
And thank you everyone for loving the skit. All the efforts, Sam ji, for editing and all those things, he took a lot of pain in that.
Thank you,
So
Ashutosh.
thanks to
You
her.
can act, you can sing, and we look forward to your next creative presentation now. So thank you so much for that. All right.
Maybe Dholak as well, right?
Dholak as well. We want to hear you with the Dholak now. We'll raise the bar for you now.
Okay, next is Urvi. Radhe Radhe Urvi.
Radhe Urvi. Happy.
Radhe Radhe. Since there was a Leela about Radharani being narrated, and there's so many stories around the birth of Radharani, so I'll just quickly read it out. What Maharaji said, I've written down in English. So, once upon a time, there were 3 Mansik Putris, the mentally created daughters of the Divya Pitras that we have. And I'm audible, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So they were Ratnamala, Kalavati, and Menka. And Ratnamala is also known as Sunena, Menka is known as Mena. These are the same people. And Ratnamala was married to Janak Paramhans, and their daughter was Janaki or Sita Mata. Kalavati was married to Suchandra, who is the son of King Ikshvaku, and Menka was married to Himalaya, and their daughter was Parvati. So Suchandra and Kalavati performed penance for 12 years, and as a result were given a boon that in Dwapar Yug, Brahma would appear in front of them as in the form of their daughter. And so in Dwapar Yug, and they would become Vrishbhanu and Kirti. Suchandra and Kalavati would become Vrishbhanu and Kirti. So they were given this boon, and then at the end of Dwapar, Radharani appeared as the daughter of King Vrishbhanu, who was the son of Surbhanu. And Kirti Maya, she appeared from the fire of the Yagya, and Radharani appeared to Kirti Maya. Like Krishna, he also was born, but he was not born with Yogmaya. He filled the mother's womb with air and all those things. So Radharani did the same thing, and then she appeared. This is the story which Maharaji has narrated. We can rely upon this one.
Beautiful. Thank you for bringing this treasure house. I had not heard this story before. Maybe you can
Yeah,
share.
even I didn't know. Very nice.
You dig out some very, very nice nuggets, Urvi. Keep it up. Never heard before. Okay, I missed that. So thank you so much for sharing that. Maybe you can type it out or send it out. Okay, it will be a good story to know about as well. So you gave us a lot of more context around it. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. We are down to Payal ji then. Thank you, Urvi.
Yes, Payal ji, Radhe Radhe. I hope your throat is better now.
Radhe Radhe everyone. I don't know. I just hope that my throat cooperates today. So I've prepared a couple of bhajans. It's kind of a mashup, you can say. So, so I'll quickly. I'm sure you all might have heard these bhajans, so we all can sing together. Okay. कर दो बेड़ा पार राधे अलबेली सरकार कर दो बेड़ा पार राधे अलबेली सरकार राधे अलबेली सरकार राधे अलबेली सरकार कर दो मन चल रे वृंदावन धाम राधे राधे गाएंगे मन चल रे वृंदावन धाम राधे राधे गाएंगे राधे राधे गाएंगे श्यामा श्यामा गाएंगे राधे राधे गाएंगे श्यामा श्यामा गाएंगे तेरे पूर्ण होंगे काम राधे राधे गाएंगे मन चल रे वृंदावन धाम राधे राधे गाएंगे ऐसी कृपा करो श्री राधे दीजो वृंदावन को वास वृंदावन को वास दीजो हरि भक्तन को साथ ऐसी कृपा करो श्री राधे दीजो वृंदावन को वास यमुना मैया कारी कारी राधा गोरी गोरी वृंदावन में धूम मचावे बरसानेरी छोरी वृंदावन में धूम मचावे बरसानेरी छोरी ब्रज धाम राधा झुकी ब्रज धाम राधा झुकी रजधानी लागे माने कारो कारो जमुना जीरो पानी लागे मीठे रस से भरियोड़ी राधा रानी लागे महारानी लागे माने खारो खारो यमुना जी को पानी लागे राधे राधे बोलिए वृंदावन में डोलिए 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 जय जय श्री राधे थैंक यू राधे राधे
Wow.
Thank you so much, Payal ji. You did an encore of retreat for us. That is what we reversed in the last few days. Amazing, amazing, amazing. See, this is the classic case of when God gives us certain abilities, we utilize it for His service. So it's so beautiful the way.
Glorifying God, right?
Beautiful. Loved it. Whether
Thank
your
you,
throat
thank you
is
so much,
fine
Radhe
or
Radhe.
not, the same magic comes out of it, which is outstanding. So loved it. Thank you so much. So Ashutosh ji, you need to compliment Payal ji by playing dholki now. Okay. Figure out game plan, pick up the beat, and get it going. I don't have any words. Like Swamiji says, you should speak only when it improves the quality of silence. And I cannot improve the quality of this silence anymore. So no more closing prayers. Beautiful, beautiful bhajan. And tomorrow we will continue on our discussion. We will explore some more facets. And thank you, Chirag ji, for turning on your cameras. Good to see you. Putting faces to names is always. You seem like a student, right? You are?
Yes, right now I just completed my class 12.
Good.
Wow.
It's always good to see young people getting engaged and showing interest in Bhagavad Gita and trying to make a difference. So thank you so much for that. And thank you again, Payal ji. Jenny ji, you had a question? Okay, that's not hand raised. I got confused. Okay, I think we had a wonderful session. Thank you again for your enthusiastic participation. Tomorrow we'll continue on our discussion. I look forward to another engaging session tomorrow. Radhe Radhe, stay blessed and happy Janmashtami once again to all of you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, good day.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you.
Thank you.